I'm a fan of Christian music. I listen to a Christian radio station in the car all the time. And Phil Wickham is one of my favorites. He wrote a song 2 years ago called The Jesus Way. And so I want to share with you just the first verse, because I think you'll get the whole song just by the first verse. If you curse me, I will bless you. If you hurt me, then I will forgive you. If you hate me, then I will love you. I choose the Jesus way. This song is based on today's gospel, the Beatitudes, if you will. This is the Jesus way, to turn the other cheek, not to judge, and certainly to love our enemies. The Pharisees and the Jews, and certainly the disciples that Jesus speaks to in this gospel today, even ourselves, they have been following God's commandments, God's way, these 10 commandments, which is good. But in their scriptures as well, Jesus challenges them to go beyond these 10 commandments. The Pharisees and Jews knew that they were following the commandment, thou shalt not kill. They were not murderers. They followed that commandment to a T. However, in their scriptures elsewhere, it says, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. They believed that. If they were justified, if somebody had done something cruel to them, they were justified in doing it back to others. Yet, they still followed the commandment, thou shalt not kill, even though they might abuse or mistreat somebody else because they had done it to them. And so Jesus challenges them. And he challenges them and us to love our enemies. We see this example in our first reading. David and Saul are enemies. Saul is the king, and David, well, he's going to be the king soon, of course, and everybody seems to know that as well. But David, as we heard, has an opportunity to kill Saul in his sleep, and he chooses not to. He takes the spear that's by his head and walks away. And in the morning, he holds up that spear far away, yelling out to Saul and his army, I have his spear, showing them he chose not to kill Saul. He's following, and he's choosing the Jesus way. He hasn't even met Jesus yet, and he's choosing the Jesus way. He's turned the other cheek. In our gospel today, it says, for the measure you give will be the measure you get back. That's what Jesus reminds us. And if you think about David, he wasn't perfect either. When he did become king, he took the wife of another man, Uriah, one of his soldiers. And so he plotted that in battle, Uriah would get killed so that he could take his wife Bathsheba for his own. And they had a child as well. But a prophet came among to David and reminded him of his sin, and he repented. And of course, God forgave him. Because he showed mercy to Saul, God showed mercy to David. Another example comes from a particular movie I watched on Netflix called The Fabelmans. Maybe some of you have seen it already. It's about a Jewish family. Mother, father, oldest son, and 2 younger daughters. The son loves to take films. He loves to create movies. He does a lot of family movies. And he becomes almost like a director in movies as well. That seems to be his ambition. But when he arrives at high school, he finds a number of bullies who are bullying him every day almost, because he's Jewish, simply because he's Jewish. Now, rather than seeking revenge upon these bullies, this fableman has another plan. He films Ditch Day. What's Ditch Day is the day when all the students ditch school and go to the beach. So he films the whole day. And at graduation, his film is ready. And he shows it to everybody, including the bullies. And in that particular movie, he makes this bully that's been beating him every day the star of the film. And the bully doesn't know what to do. He keeps asking him, "Why did you do this?" Of course, Fableman doesn't need to say anything. He understands that he turned the other cheek. He didn't seek revenge against the bully. He just turned the other cheek. This is the Jesus way as well. And as I pondered these readings this week, I thought about the phrase that I hope I've often used with you and others as well, that we need to move from maintenance to mission. Think about it. The Ten Commandments, in a sense, are simple. They're maintenance, which we do every day. Even the Pharisees and the Jews were able to follow these simple commandments as well. But Jesus comes along and he invites us into mission, to move from maintenance to mission, to bring the good news to others, to be able to turn the other cheek, to welcome and to love the enemy. Of course, this mission is challenging. It's complicated at times, and yes, it's messy. It is. Think about Peter, the fisherman, when Jesus met him for the first time. Peter was simply fishing every day so that he could have enough money for his family. And that's all he wanted, a simple life. But Jesus comes along and he invites him into mission, discipleship, where it's a little bit messy. Remember a couple weeks ago when Jesus said to Peter, "Put out your nets for a catch." And Peter and his brother and his friends had been searching for fish all night. And they're already cleaning their nets, which are messy. But he listens to Jesus. Even though he doesn't know what's out there, the unknown, into the depths, he trusts. He chooses the Jesus way, if you will. And so when he pulls forth this huge net of fish, Jesus is showing Peter the potential of his mission, that he too can bring many more people to Christ, which is we're called to do as well. We need to see that potential, all these fish, these people coming into the church as well. Perhaps it's one of the reasons why our RCA process is so successful right now. We have 3 catechumens, those who are not baptized, coming into the church, and about 4 others who are being welcomed into the church at Easter. It's also one of the reasons why we move some of the mass times and even mass places around as well too, to create this sense of mission. Now, Jesus certainly didn't come to offend, but many were offended by Jesus. And I'm not here to offend anybody else either. But sometimes it happens when you're trying to create mission. It's messy. I understand that. But it's something we are called to do. He invited Peter, and he invites us to this mission as well. To choose, if you will, the Jesus way. To love our enemies. To turn the other cheek. To forgive as God has forgiven us. Let us pray that each and every one of us will choose the Jesus way as well.